expert on that sort of thing. But you can like a woman for what she is, can't you? As well as what she looks like. She turned her head towards him, and her eyes shone with an almost fierce tenderness. Then he asked her to tell him something about herself, and she told him. She'd been born in Rochdale, had been a hard-working girl at school, and had won a place at Lady Margaret Hall to read modern languages. After leaving Oxford, she'd worked as the foreign sales rep of a smallish publishing company at Croydon, a company started from scratch a few years previously by two bright and reasonably ambitious brothers, and dealing with textbooks in English as a foreign language. The job had involved a good deal of travel with the elder of the two brothers, Charles, the senior partner, and she had stayed in the job for 8 years, enjoying it enormously. Business had boomed, and when 3 years ago she had finally left the company, she had amassed a nice little nest egg of savings. Why had she left? 8 years was quite a long time, and she just wanted a change. At Oxford she'd read French and Italian, and through her work with the company she'd become comprehensively fluent in German. So she'd tried 1 or 2 other things, and finally she'd come back to Oxford, advertised for private pupils, bought a small house, and, well, there she was. She'd missed something out, though. The man knew that. He remembered clearly the 3rd finger on her left hand, but he said nothing. "What about you?" she asked. "I'm not half as interesting as you are. I just want to keep sitting here, next to you, that's all." He'd drunk a prodigious amount of wine, and his voice was at last becoming slurred. Yet the woman felt a curiously compelling attraction towards this mellowing drunkard, whose hand now sought her own, and who lightly traced his fingertips across her palm. At 20 minutes past 1, Mrs. Murdoch placed her hand tactfully on his shoulder. "Call for you." He picked up the receiver in the hallway. "What?" "Lewis." "What the hell do you have to—" "Oh, yep, all right." He banged down the receiver and walked back into the lounge. She sat just as he had left her, her eyes questioning him as he stood there. "I've got to be off, I'm afraid. I'm sorry." "But you've got time to see me home, haven't you?" "I'm sorry, I can't. You see, I'm on call tonight, and are you a doctor or something?" "Policeman." "Oh, God!" She looked up at him, her eyes now dull with disappointment. "Perhaps the fates—" "Nonsense. There's no such bloody thing." "Oh, don't you believe in— Can we meet again?" She took a diary from her handbag, tore out a page from the back, and quickly wrote 9 Canal Reach. "The car's here," said Mrs. Murdoch. The man nodded and turned as if to go, but he had to ask it. "You're married, aren't you?" "Yes, but—" "One of the brothers in the company?" "No, it wasn't. I was married long before that. In fact, I was silly enough to get married when I was 19, but—" A man walked into the lounge and came diffidently over to them. "Ready, sir?" "Yes." He turned to look at her for the last time. "You've got my address," she whispered. He nodded. "I don't know your name, though." "Anne. Anne Scott. What's your name?" "They call me Morse," said the policeman. "Where do you say you're dragging me to, Lewis?" "Woodstock Crescent, sir. Chap's knifed his missus in one of the houses there." The car made its way through a maze of darkened side streets, until Morse saw the flashing blue lights of an ambulance. "By the way, Lewis, do you know where Canal Reach is?" "I think so, yes, sir. It's down in Oxford, down in Jericho." It was on Wednesday, October the 3rd, almost exactly 6 months after Mrs. Murdoch's party in North Oxford, that Detective Chief Inspector Morse of the Thames Valley Police turned down a street in the residential area of Jericho. He'd thought of Anne Scott occasionally, of course he had, but the prospect of a complicated liaison with a married woman had not, in the comparatively sober light of morning, carried quite the same appeal it had the night before, and he'd not pursued the affair. But he was thinking of her now. For the first time in many months, he had every reason to be in the precincts of Jericho. As a member of the Oxford Book Association, he'd recently received advance notice of a talk by Dame Helen Gardner on the new Oxford Book of English Verse.